Hey, everybody. Welcome to episode 58 of the Curt Schilling Baseball Show. I'm Curt Schilling. He's Bill Graff. What's up, Billy?
How are you, Curt?
John's back there somewhere.
He certainly is.
We're going to get right into it. A seemingly innocuous story that I think isn't as seemingly innocuous as maybe the media would have you believe it. Shohei Ohtani was placed on the 15-day injured list. Right oblique inflammation prior to their loss in Detroit on Saturday. Ohtani's locker was cleaned out on Friday. That was the 11th straight game he was held out of the lineup. He initially sustained the oblique injury in a swing while taking batting practice September 4th. Scheduled to undergo UCL surgery. UCLA. Yeah, well done. As soon as next week, although general manager Perry Minasian said unfortunately he didn't know if Ohtani will undergo his second Tommy John or a different operation. Had the best offensive year of his career, 304, just insane. 10-5 with a 3.14. All the things go with that. Okay. Here's the thing that jumps out at me in that story that the media just completely, for some reason, never understands. In baseball, when you hurt yourself and go on the injured list, you'll have surgery and then you'll come back and you'll rehab with the training, or you'll cut your post-surgery, you'll come back and you'll start with the training team and you guys have a conditioning guy or somebody a therapist who will start your rehab or whatever the case may be. I know one thing you don't do is you don't clean out your locker and go home before the season's over. Now, there's just 2 weeks left in the season, but you don't do that. You come to the park, but and maybe it is 2 weeks left in the season. Not a good look for the player. I would tell you that there's absolutely zero chance he comes back and plays in Anaheim after this one, because, well, for a lot of different reasons, but you just don't do that. You're not supposed to do that anyway. And they did, and he did. So, and now, Bill, you said something about the team.
Well, the question is, did the team ask him to take it out, or did he do it on his own? And I haven't seen that anywhere. So
yeah, I would. If the team did, I would be stunned. I would be absolutely stunned if the team asked him to leave. That would mean that they have no interest in signing him, and that relationship's not what everybody thought it was, and all the things go with that. Meanwhile, on the field, we talked about it on Thursday, Billy. The Rays O's headed into a four-game sweep, or up 3-1 would have been pretty big deal. Tampa could have brought it to a tie. Baltimore could have jumped 4 up. All the things go with that. We had probably the best outcome for baseball fans you could have asked for. Tampa takes the first 2 games. And then Grayson Rodriguez, Bill, I think I've used the term stopper before here.
Yes, you have. Yes, you have. And you've used it with his name. So
that was the game. That was the game the kid was supposed to pitch. You are tied for first. 2 games left in this series. You've lost 2. The stopper stopped streaks, and Grayson Rodriguez threw a gem. Now, let's be clear. Tyler Glasnow, who I've been in love with since I've seen him throw a gem as well. But Rodriguez outpitches him, and the Orioles win Saturday. Even better is they're down 3-1 in the 8th. They come back Sunday to win 4-3 in front of the home crowd. What a great weekend series for Baltimore, for baseball. And
place was packed, all 4 games.
Yeah. So the personal part of this for me, it's very hard for me to feel happy about it because it's rewarding the Angelos family for ineptitude and for screwing a franchise, but the fans in Baltimore deserve it, and I'm happy for them. I like what we're seeing. Both those guys I mentioned are the reason you want to win the division. Tampa's 2 up, or Baltimore's 2 up, 3 in the loss column. And the fact of the matter is, one of those teams is going to miss the wild card series and not play 3 games. I mean, that is there's 2 schools of thought here, right? The 2 schools are, I would rather play than sit out for a week, because I've seen firsthand what that can do to a team. Or I would rather sit out for a week rather than play in a series and have a chance to be eliminated. Glasnow and Rodriguez and the pitching stabs of these 2 teams give you incentive to win the division, because you want to be able to set your rotation up. Whoever wins the division in the East is going to get a bye, along with the AL West team in the American League. Minnesota's going to be playing somebody, and the Toronto,
Seattle,
yeah,
are all fighting for that 3rd spot.
Well, so you've got Toronto,
and Texas.
You've got Toronto, Seattle, Texas, Tampa, and
the O's.
Yeah. So
but the O's and the Rays have both clinched playoff spots.
Right,
so that first wild card spot is,
but there is, you know, and it's the first time in a long time that not all playoff spots are created equal.
Right.
I mean, it was home field advantage, which you could make some arguments for to some degree, I guess. But your Grayson Rodriguez and your Tyler Glasnow's negate home field advantage. In a lot of ways. So it's going to be fun. The big thing coming out of today will be the fact that Tampa will have 10 games left, and
they've got 11. The O's have 13.
Right. But we're taping on Monday, right?
And yeah. Oh, good point. So Tampa's off today. The O's play on Monday. We're taping on Monday. So
right. So the O's will have 12 and the Rays 11 and the 3 back. Over on the left coast and the other league, the Braves lead the Dodgers by 5.5 for the best record. So they're going to probably both be sitting at the end of the year watching other teams play, because the Dodgers clinched their 10th National League West in the last 11 seasons. Yeah, I don't know any division. I mean, it was a kind of a Yankee Red Sox thing in the AL East for a long time. Houston's owned the West for a while. But nobody has had ownership of a division like the Dodgers. And we came into this, I didn't expect it. I expected them to be good. I expected them to be the division winner. I didn't expect them to dominate. I expected San Diego to be a lot better. I expect that division to be a lot more competitive than it was, and then it remains to be seen. Though, what remains to be seen though is what the Dodger pitching is going to look like come playoff time. Braves lead them by 5.5, and the Braves have the swing and miss pitching October demands. So I'm going to be curious to see, as did everybody else. I'm going to be curious to see how that plays out. But which is exactly what baseball was hoping to get. The wild card race is wide open in the National League. Phillies have a 3.5 game lead. 5 teams are all within 1 game. Arizona has a half game on the 2nd spot. Cubs and Marlins tied for 3rd.
Then the Reds and the Giants are a half game back. Giants are 2 back.
Right. Now, in Saturday's win against the Braves, Jace Chisholm went 2 for 3 at the grand slam and 4 RBIs, stole 3 bases. He joins Mike Cameron as the only player to hit a grand slam and steal 3 bases in a game Cameron did in 2002. And then he hit a grand slam on Sunday. So he had a hell of a weekend. Giants are 2 back. I'm going to make my prediction. Obviously, it's going to be I think it'll be the Phillies, the Diamondbacks, and then I'm feeling good about the Cubs.
They've lost 5 straight, Curt.
Yeah,
and are 2-8 in their last 10. I thought Cubs too coming into this last stretch, but they're struggling.
Watch this last week. I'm curious to see it.
Well, and you were talking Diamondbacks at the beginning of the year, and I was skeptical, but I'll tell you, they're the kind of team that goes in and plays hard every day.
Yep. Well, they got a 1. They got Gallen in the leading off the rotation, so it's going to be, you're playing a best of 3.
Right.
You have to win the first game. You have to have the ace to win that first game. You have to have the stud to win that first game. And then we're going to close out on a story that I think this show has taken an angle on. I think I don't know if I was to assess, I would say I think the show has a particular angle on things that other shows don't present, and one of those things is inside the clubhouse. The Padres clubhouse is reportedly a lazy disaster, and people are blaming Manny Machado. Padres are 0-11 in extra inning games and 6-22 in one-run games. According to reports, some Padres players believe they couldn't hold Manny Machado accountable this season. To ask a Padres player why no one could confront Machado on these matters, it is to be looked at as if you have 6 heads. So my biggest problem with stories like that, and I've said this before, is to ask a player why no one could confront Machado is to be looked at as if you have 6 heads, is in quotes. So what that's a writer quoting himself, claiming that a Padre player said that about Machado. I'm not saying he didn't. I just think that's a way of reporting. According to virtually everyone queried in the series of more than 30 conversations with more than a dozen uniformed personnel, including 8 players and other members of the organization, there is a unanimous consensus that Machado controls the clubhouse and sets a tone and personality for the team. This assessment is based on how he is treated, the latitude he is given, and how messages for the team are passed through him from above. It is also based on what multiple players said were his own declarations, though Machado denied that to be the case. Same as he pushed back on much of the premise of this story. Machado responded, I think everybody is a leader. I think we have 26 leaders. I don't think necessarily one person has to take the lead role. I think baseball is a team sport. It takes everyone. Told that there is uniform agreement among several teammates. He is the dominant presence in the clubhouse. Machado did say that's fair.
Curt, could you ever hear Dutch Dalton saying that line?
I can't even get to that point. I can't get past the fact that this is happening in Bob Melvin's clubhouse.
Right.
This is happening in Matt Williams's clubhouse. And I will be stunned. Well, I don't know. I don't know what that means. I don't know. That must mean that both of those gentlemen are not the clubhouse impacting people that they were years ago. And that's fair to say, probably, because the game is changing and players are changing. And maybe being who you were 10 years ago as a coach changes when your players are making $200, $350, $400 million a year. I'm guessing it does. I'm guessing it does, because those things would have never happened in either one of those guys' clubhouses, which leads me to think that something needs to change, right?
Well,
you either need to trade Manny Machado, trade Manny Machado, or change the dynamics of all of it. And that would stink, because I think Bob Melvin is a pretty special manager.
Well, Manny's having a disappointing year by Manny's standards. I mean, 28 batting .251 with 28 bombs and 84 RBIs is well below his season averages.
Well, he's being paid how much a year?
30? Yeah.
Okay. You're a $30 million player. You're a 335, 125 Gold Glove caliber, all the things that go with that.
Yeah.
All right. That's not the reason they're 0-11 in extra inning games and 6-22 in one-run games. And that's not the reason they failed to the reason they have. And I told you this, that these things manifest themselves in the clubhouse. There has to be something going on. And gosh, you and me, I think John and I, we were all talking about it. I think back in June, something else going on in San Diego other than they're just playing bad.
Right.
We talked about and I said there are certain things that are much more important and carry much more weight. And that sort of stuff. Here's the thing. I can tell you this right now. The San Diego Padres do not have a leader in the clubhouse, on the team, or on the field. They don't. Because if they did, this would have never happened. This would have never come out. Because Darren Dalton would have told the reporter, do me a favor. I'll give you a story on Tuesday. I need to let me take care of this first. That's what would have happened. That's what happens when you have a leader. If David Ross was in that clubhouse, the Cubs trading for David Ross is still the reason I think they won the World Series. You trade for a David Ross, you have a Doug Mirabelli, you have a Jason. That doesn't happen in a clubhouse with the leader. It doesn't, because the media finds that leader and goes right to them to try and call them out. And that's never the case, because the leader never lets it get to that point. So I'm reverse engineering a stack of dominoes. But the fact of the matter is the San Diego Padres do not have a leader in the clubhouse. Manny Machado is clearly not a leader, and that's all right. You don't have to be. I'm not asking him to be. But somebody's going to have to step up. And it doesn't have to be a $30 million guy. Generally, the best leaders are the guys that are the 24th man on the roster, because they don't care who you are, what you say, or what you think. There's a right way and a wrong way to do things. And apparently a lot of things are being done the wrong way in the Padre clubhouse. So that needs to fix itself. And by the way, for anybody that's in the Padre clubhouse, I don't want to hear Manny Machado gets traded and then all of you come out and talk about what a cancer he was. That makes you weak. So if you're going to stand up and lead. But there isn't a leader in the Padre clubhouse. And the Padres will not win next year if they don't get one either, by the way. No chance. So anyway,
but before we go, Curt, you always talk about taking different angles, and as a fan, I sit back and look at the last 12 games, and it seems to me that the pressure that mounts on these teams that are in playoff races has to be immense.
Okay, no. And so I look at it the other way around, right? I'm looking at it from the player's perspective. As a fan, here's where you can find out what your guys are going to do in October. These are playoff games for the Rays and the Orioles. Make no mistake about it. Every guy is going up to the plate. Every guy is going to the mound with the postseason mentality. The ballpark in Baltimore, this was a playoff series this weekend. They got exposed to it already. That's what it's going to be right there. You just saw it. And they did what they did on the weekend. Right? Grayson Rodriguez, if you have any questions about how he's going to pitch in October, that answered him. He's capable of shutting you out and shutting you down when the chips are all on the table. Because, again, they were tied for first place when that game started. So if you're a fan of the Rays, of the Orioles, of any team that is battling this last week with a game or two, and every game matters, watch your players. This is where you're going to find out who's got what in October. Younger players. Most other guys will have a track record. So anyway, yeah, that's it. Hey, Baltimore nailed it again, man. Our baseball nailed it again. Baseball Absolutely. Nailed it again with the wild card and all the things that go with that. You have to win your division this year, or be one of the top two. That's insanely valuable. And I think, though, Billy, those two are decided. It's Atlanta, LA, and the AL East and Houston.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah.
Correct. As long as Houston holds on. Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Right. So, yeah.
The other thing we didn't talk about with Grayson, which I thought you would latch on to, he pitched 8 innings.
Oh, yeah.
He pitched 8. Look at the smile.
I was trying not to, make it a big deal, in the sense that I don't want it to be a big deal for him. I want to see that, right? That's again. Well, I mean, that's what you do. But here's the problem, Bill. That's where guys get hurt, right? He's on a pitch count his whole career. He's on an innings limit his whole career. Now you're going to let him go 8, not September. I mean, it's not damned if you do, damned if you don't. My point is, I told you, and I've said this a million times on the show, you can't ask a guy to do something for the first time in the big leagues, right? pitching in a playoff game, literally, you know, that's where, because he asked stuff of his body and his arm on Saturday that he hadn't ever asked him before. You know, he's fine and all that goes with that, but that's what you try to avoid having. That's where injuries come up. And that's what the thing, that's why the Walker Buehler thing was the best thing they could have done, you know, like,
yeah.
So anyway, yeah, no, I watch your teams, guys. Watch your players. Get a feel for those teams, and it's going to be an amazing final 12 days, guys. So anywhere you get your podcast, Spotify, across the internet, we'd love you to go to OutKick.com to pick it up and check out all the shows on the shows page. Other than that, I got nothing for you. I might be 4-0 on my fantasy football team after this weekend. So my teams went 4-0. So I'm pretty fired up about that. We'll see you guys at the end of the week. Bill, John, have a great weekend, or have a great week. I'll catch you guys on Thursday, and we'll have some more. There's going to be more going on for sure.